Yo, what's up everybody? Today we're back on Madden 15 and I'm going to be showing you guys how to build your team. For those who've got this game late, a lot of people would have got it for Christmas, or maybe you've had it for a while but you're just looking for some extra tips. So today I'm going to be talking about what I think is the most important attribute for each position, what I think you should go for, and then we'll talk about maybe what I think you should get for that position, what cards I think would be good for that position. So we're just going to take a look at my offense real quick. For now, we're going to do offense later tomorrow, or maybe later today, depending on how well this video does. I can put up the defensive side of it. So take a look at my guys. Obviously, I could use some work, but you know, my team's pretty solid. I do pretty well with them. Alright, we'll start off with the quarterback. Alright, so with the quarterback position, I feel like this year, more than anything, throw power is very important because zones play very well. Man is, hit or miss. Sometimes it's very well, but you need the ball to get there quick, especially longer plays like 3rd and 9s, 3rd and 11s. When you're running a post route, sometimes the post route takes a while to develop, depending on how fast your receiver is. If he slips behind the linebacker, you need to get it there fast before the linebacker closes back in and recovers, or the safety comes down to do something about him getting past the second line of defense. So you need somebody like Tony Romo. I think he's probably the best quarterback I've used so far in the game. He's kind of slept on. A lot of people won't use him just because of how he's kind of got a reputation in real life to choke games away, but in this game he is pretty good. I think once you get past 90 rating and in any of the accuracy categories, then it doesn't really matter anymore. If you got a guy who's 90 throw short and a guy who's 93 throw short, I don't really think there's that much of a difference there where you need to be like, oh, I got to get this guy just because he's got better throw accuracy short, because I throw a lot of short passes. I mean, it's logical to think that way, but in this game, once you get to 90, there's not really a big difference between 90 and 93 in terms of accuracy. Both those cards are going to pretty much make the same plays. Now, what you'll really notice is the throw power, how fast they get the ball there, and that's pretty important. If you get the ball faster, to say you're running a 5-yard curl, your tight end goes up 5 yards, comes back, you throw the ball. Say you have Tony Romo, and then you've got, this is a pretty bad example, but Marquette King. If I throw the ball with him, it's gonna take a year to get there. If I throw it with Tony Romo, it's going to get there in half a second, probably faster. And that difference right there, it's going to be the linebacker coming up and intercepting the ball because it's moving too slow, or him catching it and getting hit immediately. A lot of times with Tony Romo, I'll throw the ball, they'll catch it, and because it got there so fast, they can make a second move. They can either spin or try to do something with the ball just because he got it there so fast. The linebackers or corners don't have as much time to react. So that's what I think is the best, attribute for a quarterback. Now, that doesn't mean go turn around and go get a Joe Flacco just because he's got 96, 97 throw power, because he's also got like horrendous throw middle and throw deep. I'm just saying for this situation, for an elite quarterback, he is very, very, very reliable, very good, very accurate, and he gets the ball there quick. Now, for a gold position, this would be my pick, Matthew Stafford. Very good throw power. Look at that, 99 throw power. He's still got good short pass, still got good medium pass, and his throw deep is kind of lacking. But if you're a guy who doesn't lob it, every single play, only throw it deep when you need to, he's pretty good. Or you read the defense, you see that you can throw it deep. This guy can still make those plays, but he's not going to be on the level of Tony Romo. But this is obviously like a 10K card, and Tony Romo is like a 70K card. So those are two really good cards. I'll go straight to fullback because I mean a lot of people don't really care about this position. A lot of people don't run sets with a fullback there. So I mean, if you're a guy who runs a lot of jumbo sets, throws out of them and stuff like that, you want a good fullback. He's got 80 run block, which is up there. He's up there with the best in terms of his run block. His speed is very good for a tight end. He can keep up with a lot of tight end fullback. He can keep up with a lot of halfbacks, especially if you got a guy like Denard Robinson, Jamal Charles, those type of guys. They're going to be cutting out of the backfield quick. So you need somebody who can get up there and get that block, seal the edge pretty quick. His carry is decent, so I mean, if you want to try to punch it in with him, short inches situations, he can do that. He's got pretty good strength. So Derek Coleman, I feel like, is a steal when it comes to fullbacks. He's about 3K, 4K. I guess that, don't quote me on that. It could depend on the market, but I feel like he's up there with a lot of really good elite fullbacks, and he's only at 80 overall. I really don't get that. I mean, let's take a look. What could be making his catching's decent too, so he can catch out of the backfield. I mean, his pass block's decent. Maybe his ball carry vision? I don't know what makes him an 80 because this guy is a beast. I don't know. Madden sometimes confuses me. But let's move on to the halfback position. Now with a halfback, obviously speed is king. You want a guy who's really fast, because if you break those plays, you don't want to be caught. If you're, make it to the sideline, you don't want the safety to catch you. You don't want a linebacker to catch you. You want to be able to break that all the way to for 6. So speed is important, but if we're looking past that, I'd say you want to look for it depends on how you run your offense. If you run a lot of inside plays, you want a guy who has a lot of strength. If you run a lot of outside plays, you want a guy who's got good elusiveness. Now, I'll tell you why. If you've got a guy with high trucking, these are the type of guys that I would run up the middle. A guy like, Ahmad Green, a guy like Eddie Lacy, a guy like obviously elite Bo Jackson does everything, but a guy like DeMarco Murray. These guys have higher trucking, and in turn they always have higher strength because they're stronger running backs. Now, strength in this game, what it does is it makes you fall forward, or it makes you, you get hit in the backfield, you won't fall backwards pretty much. So, I mean, that's really good for like third downs, third and short, you want to run the ball. Or, if you're a guy who ground and pounds, you run the ball to set up for the pass, then you want a running back with high strength. Typically you want a guy who's got pretty decent trucking. So these are my picks for a guy who's more expensive and a guy who's less expensive. Latavius goes for about 4K. Denard, you need to put both of them together in a set. I mean, for a minute there, you could pick him up for like 1,800 a piece. You could get this card really cheap. I don't know what it is now, but if you can get it, get it. I mean, even if he is your backup back, he's a very solid backup back. I mean, I had him as backup, but after I sold my Thanksgiving Ahmad Green, I literally sold him for cash. After I sold him, I had DeMarco Murray, a Football Outsider, there, and when Denard Robinson would come in every now and again when he was tired, he would always break crazy plays. So I was like, let me try this guy out. I tried him at my number 1 spot, and I was like, hey, he's pretty good. So I ended up going with him. So these are my 2 picks. Budget, Latavius. If you got a little bit more money, go for somebody like Denard Robinson, maybe LaShawn McCoy. I think the best running back you can get, if you're a guy who runs the ball maybe once or twice a possession, I would get somebody who can, break crazy plays off, like maybe Jamal Charles. If you're a guy who grounded pounds, I would go for someone who, got a little bit more strength. More of an every down back. I would go with probably Steven Jackson, Ahmad Green. Those type of guys. They're pretty fast, but they can still break tackles, and they're still pretty elusive. Now, if you can find an elusive back who's got high strength and high elusiveness, then you want to go for them. Because the difference between elusiveness and trucking in this game is trucking is a user animation. When you're running up the middle and you truck somebody, you flip up on the hit stick, they'll, run through them sometimes, but most of the time they'll just fall forward about 3-4 yards. That's pretty useful, but you still got to user that. A reason why a lot of people like elusiveness is you don't really need to do anything for it. Say you're running up the field down the sideline and somebody tries to get you, and you kind of like just shrug them off, or they try to dive and grab your legs, and you kind of do that that high step animation. Those are things that just happen, because of high elusiveness, and you don't really need to do anything for it. So, I mean, if you've got a guy with high strength who can fall forward and high elusiveness, then, that's perfect. Now, for receiver, you normally, for the wide receiver 1, this is the position that someone's going to put their best deep guy. For me, that's not it. For me, the right side is where I put my deep threat, because I throw it, that way when I want to throw it deep. Most people will do the opposite, but I'll show you in a mismatch direction. Let's assume Sanu is my number 1 receiver, because that's the guy I would throw it deep to. So the reason why I have him as my throw deep is he's got 93 speed, but the thing you want to look for when you're looking for someone you could throw it deep to is height. So anybody over 6 foot is pretty much going to be good. The taller the better. He's got 93 speed, that's pretty good. 94 spec catch. Spec catch is what you want to look for, especially for your deep route guy. Spectacular catch. Let's look at that. He's got 94 spectacular catch. That's very good for a deep threat. Now, for the other way around, this would be people's number 2 receiver most of the time. This is the guy that you're going to be throwing comeback routes, post routes, 10 in, 5 ins, slants, a lot of slants. These are the guys you're going to be doing that to. And the reason why I chose Hopkins for that is he's got some pretty decent height, pretty decent speed, but he's got 94 catch in traffic. Very good, all-around card. He's got some decent elusiveness, decent release. He's very good at pretty much everything he does. But the key thing you want to look for your number 2 receiver is catching traffic, I think, because you want them to hold on to the ball, especially when it's like, say, 3rd and 3, you run a slant, and he catches it, and he gets hit by the linebacker. If he's got, 84 catching traffic, there's a chance he could drop the ball and, take you to 4th down, and you don't want that to happen. So, who I got here on the side, Anquan Bolden, he is a very good budget, number 2 guy. He's got some pretty good, got really good release. He gets off the line very fast. Amazing catch in traffic. If you're on a budget, I'd recommend picking him up. Maybe even Ruben Randall, 95 catch in traffic. I mean, in a lot of ways, I might even run this guy over Hopkins. The only reason why I run Hopkins is because he's got that little bit extra elusiveness. Sometimes he can shrug off guys a little bit more than Ruben, but Randall's up there with them. I mean, like I said, you don't need to really pay attention to whether they're gold or elite. You just gotta look at their stats and see who you think is better for you. So we'll look at the slot guy next. For slot, you don't need height. Really what you're looking for is speed, catching traffic, and thirdly, the that's the order of what I would look for. Speed first, catch and traffic second, then spec catch, or not spec catch, elusiveness third. The reason why I say that is because these are the guys who could be running drags, in routes, comeback routes. You want these guys, especially these routes take time to develop, especially a drag. Sometimes they don't get open until they're on the other side of the field. So you want a guy who's fast, who can get there quick. So you want somebody quick there. Emmanuel Sanders, he's really good in that position, but he's got pretty low carry. He can fumble a lot, so I don't really like him particularly. I did have him there, but in a season he fumbled like 3 times for me, and I was like, nope, you got to go. So I replaced him. I got Jeremy Maclin there right now, but that's just an experiment, just testing him out. If you're on a budget, Reggie Bush, get this guy. I mean, his catch and traffic is not that great. I'm kind of going against what I was saying with this guy, but I mean, you can't go wrong with it. If you're on a budget and you're really in a pinch for coins, you're not grinding that much. You just kind of want to get a guy and go into head-to-head right away. Bush, I think, is probably your best way to go. He's supposed to be a halfback, but look at that speed: 94 speed, 85 release. He gets off the line quick. He's got 90 elusiveness. When he catches it, he can make a play. 83 catch and traffic, 81 catch. Most time he's going to hold on to it. He could drop some passes, but when you're on a budget, shitty players do shitty things. But he's pretty good. I used him for a while when I first started. He's a very good receiver. He's a better receiver than he is a running back. Normally, who I would have in this position is Dante Moncrief. So he's got high speed, 94 speed, 92 catching traffic, and he's got some decent elusiveness. Pretty good release. That's a guy I normally would run there. Just like I said, testing out Maclin. I picked him up because he was cheap. Most of the time he goes for about 14K. I seen him up on an auction, and he was about to end around like 7, so I grabbed him, sniped him. So mostly this was just like a flip attempt. I just wanted to get him and then sell him, but I figured I could try him out before I sell him. If he's good, I'll keep him. If not, then get rid of him. Alright, next we'll do tight end. Now, just like everything else, this depends on how you play. But if you can find an all-around guy, grab him. Greg Olson's pretty cheap. He goes about 20-30K, and he's pretty much, your guy. He's got pretty good speed, good run block. He can steal the edge. He's got really good release. He can, get to his route quick. Some decent catch and traffic. I think his spec catch is pretty good too. Let's see. 6'5", pretty good. What's his spec catch? 89. That's not bad. All right, so depends on how you like to run your offense. If you like to run it way more, if you're a ground and pound guy, Dwayne Allen, really good pickup. He's about, I want to say like 3-4K. 86 run block. You can still throw it to him, and you have to. Say you go up to the line, you're a ground and pound offense. You're about to run it, and you see that your opponent's run committing. He's got like 8 guys at the line or something crazy. You audible out, throw a little dump off to the tight end. He can still catch the ball. I mean, he might drop it sometimes, but this is the guy for you if you're on a budget and you like to run it a lot, pretty much. If you're not on a budget and you run it a lot, Donald Penn is the way to go. He can catch it, hold on to it. He can run a block like a lineman. Basically, he's a 6 lineman. If you don't have a Donald Penn, I don't know what you're doing. He should be in your lineup, especially for those jumbo sets when you come out. Even goal line, you're coming out there trying to punch it in. This guy will definitely help you out a lot. Rudolph. Now this guy is no joke. He might look like he's kind of shitty, on the surface, but let's take a look at this guy. He's 6'6". All right, 6'6", and he's got 94 spectacular catch. This guy goes up and he gets it. And I'm talking about like 2-3 guys on him, he'll come down with it a lot of the time. That doesn't mean, you know, just because I'm saying that, throw it to him every fucking play and he'll catch it. I mean, he's still got 77 catch in traffic. He's still got 84 catch in general. So he can still drop some passes. If he's wide open, he can still drop some passes. If he gets hit right after he catches it, he can still drop some passes. But if you're on a budget and you don't throw it to the tight end that much, but when you do, he goes deep, say you run 4 verts or something like that, when you do throw it deep, this guy can go up and get it. So, I mean, if you're on a budget, go for Kyle Rudolph. He's about, you know, I want to say 2K or something like that, maybe less. If you're a guy who throws it a lot to the tight end, you run a lot of jumbo sets, and you do a lot of play actions, Luke Wilson is an awesome tight end. He's very fast. He's pretty much a receiver in the tight end position. He can still run block. I mean, if you're the type of guy, I mean, this is even a good recommendation. If you're the type of guy who runs the ball more than they pass, you can even put a fast tight end in your slot. I've seen people do that before, and I've even thought about doing it. I mean, let's see. Greg Olson's 84 there. Let's look at Wilson. Okay, so Wilson there, still pretty good. He's got amazing spec. I didn't even know his spec catch was that good. 93 spec catch. So, I mean, that's just a little tip there. Let's see the run block. Compare the run block. 64 versus 40. I mean, you make the observation. It's obviously better. If you're more of a running offense, you could try the tight end there, see how you like it. But that's it for that. Okay, for offensive line, really, like I said, depends. Like every position, depends on how you run your offense. If you pass it more, prioritize pass block over run block. If you run more, do the opposite. If you do a little bit of both, mix it up. But in my opinion, what matters the most for linemen is obviously the run block, the pass block, the impact block right here at the bottom, IMP. What that means is their ability to make huge blocks down the field. So say, you know, you're at the line, you do a power play to the right, you break past the line, your tackle, you know, gets off the end and he starts moving to the second layer and he gets to the linebackers, maybe even a safety. When he gets there, his ability to just blow them out and lay them out and pancake them, that's impact block. So that's just an extra, you know, additive to your lineman. You don't have to have it, but it's amazing if they have high impact block, because say you do have that happen to you and you break out and he just completely lays out the safety, he's out the play, and you can, you know, get tons more yards there. But you know, if you just need to pick up 4, then you don't obviously have to have that happen. So for tackles, I think that speed is pretty important because these are the guys that are going to be dealing with linebackers coming off the edge, cornerbacks coming off the edge, and really most of the time when people go for ends, they want guys who are pretty quick. So you want a guy who's got 60 speed or higher for that, I think. And strength is pretty important for linemen. Strength determines, I think, pretty much how well they can hold on to their block. If a guy's got a high block shed, you want your guy to have high strength to go against him, because you're gonna be stopping his block shed with your strength, and with that combined with your blocking ability. So for your guards are the linemen who are going to be pulling. If you're running counters and trap plays, these are your guys who are going to be pulling to the other side of the field to make those blocks to seal off that side for you. So these guys, same thing. You want them to be over 60 speed, and you want them to have decent run block. I think over pass block, because I mean, inside you don't need to be as fast, and you don't need to have as high pass block, because you're going to get help from the outside. You're going to get help from the tight ends. So I mean, it obviously depends on your offense. If you pass it 3 out of 4 downs, then go for pass block. I think this is the only guy I could use an upgrade on. He's still pretty decent. 90 strength, 92 impact block. He's he's pretty much straight down the line decent. Alright, that's it for this one. This is going to be how to build your team offense edition for people who are looking for tips on what they should do, what they should be looking for. So later on we'll do defense. I can even show you guys some offensive schemes with these guys, and show you some defensive schemes, what I like to do on offense and defense. Just let me know in the comments below, like the video if you enjoyed this, and I'll see you on my next video. Later.